All right, so today, real quick, we're going to do a quick walkthrough of Makecode, which is the program that we use to program microbits and use the emulator for computer science for the first half of the semester. So to get to Makecode, there are a few different ways you can do it. Number one, if you come to my WJSH engineering website and go to links, under coding, the very first one is Microbit Makecode. If you click on that, it's going to take you to the Makecode site. You can also just go ahead and type in makecode.microbit.org, and it will take you there as well. So when you first log in, it's going to look a little different than mine. You're not going to have all of these excess projects. I just have stuff from the past on my computer. So just be aware that yours is going to look a little different, not a big deal. So Makecode is, so the Makecode, again, sorry I got interrupted there. So Makecode is a programming environment that we're going to use for all of our emulator work in computer science, for computer science innovators and makers. So to give you an idea, this is the entire page. Now, one thing I want you to notice, there's no login. You don't log into this. Everything is saved based on cookies in your computer. So if you switch Chromebooks or switch devices, you'll lose access to all the stuff you've done before. So I'll show you how to save stuff down to your computer so you can reload it next time. So Makecode, when you hit new project, it's going to ask you to give it a name. So in this one, I'm just going to put test project example. And for my code options, it's going to leave all of these. So I'm just going to leave them all checked, and that's fine. So I'm going to create that new one. So this is the Makecode environment. So you'll notice right off the bat, it seems a little small. So if you come down here to the lower right, there are some zoom in options. And that gives me the chance to blow it up, make it a little easier to see. So the Makecode works like this. There is an emulator on the left-hand side, right here. And this simulates the actual microbit itself, the one that we physically use where we allow it to share equipment. So this column here is all of your commands. So if you've ever used Blockly or Scratch or done any sort of online programming with block code, it's very similar to that. So if I jump into, for example, basic, it opens up the drawer, the basic drawer, and it's got a whole bunch of different icons, and I can simply drag those out into my main window. You'll notice when I dragged it out, it sort of fades and it's got cross-hatching on it, showing that it's not connected, it's not doing anything. However, I can drag it up here, and I'm going to match up this notch with this bump, and there we go. So as soon as I do that, you'll notice this faded off, and now it's showing my icon, my heart. If I click on this, pick a different one, so here's an angry face, it fades out, restarts the program, and there it goes. So this emulator is running whatever code is shown on the screen over here. And now you'll notice if I grab something else, and again, it's not connected, this reloads, but it's saying just this, because it ignores this show string because it's not in the box. If I drop it in here, it's going to reload, and now it'll do both. And you notice it's scrolling the word hello. So all of these drawers have different features. So you've got your basic drawer, which has a lot of your common stuff. Inputs have to do with adding information in. So pressing a button, having it shake back and forth, things like that. There's a music. You can make it play music. Now, I will say this, for when we're working in class on this, you will need some headphones because these get very loud, and a whole classroom full of students playing it is going to give everybody a headache. So we'll make sure you have some headphones with you. LEDs, so there's an LED grid that lights up on the actual microbit. Loops, logic, radio, these are all things that we're going to dive into throughout the course of the year. So a couple of things that are really nice is that if you just leave your mouse hanging over things, you'll notice it brings up a small box that actually tells you what does that block do. So that's another way to figure out what something does. Click Advanced, gives you a whole nother section, and we'll use a few of the things out of Advanced this year, but not everything. Okay? There's also a search option, so if you've forgotten where something is, for example, you need to find an LED box, I can search LED, and it's going to bring up everything that has something to do with LEDs out of the main drawers. You'll notice It didn't bring up this one, show LEDs. If I type LEDs plural, it'll bring that up. So it's very literal as to what you have to type in. I'm going to shrink down my advanced. Now, a couple of other things that are kind of nice. You can, in fact, come over here. You can stop the emulator, restart it. This button here is just a restart. You don't have to stop it. It just starts the code over. So this code lets you see how it's going through and lets you step through the code as you go. So I can click here and it's going to run through. And there we go. It's showing me what step I'm on and letting me work through it. Sound, turning the sound on and off. Now what's really nice in this step area is you'll notice up here there's a little snail. Okay? So if I hit play, it's going to run through this. I can restart it. But if you hit that, it's going to show every step that it goes through. And it's going to let you sort of see what's going on. So this is great for debugging and things like that. This last one, full screen. If you're running a set of code and you just want to see what's going on a little bigger, obviously it gives you a full screen version. You can click the button again to shrink that out of your way. A couple of other features, if you get bored with the blocks, it has a JavaScript option where you can actually look at the actual code itself. And now they've just added Python. So Python is a second programming language just like JavaScript that you can program in. For the majority of class, we'll be working in blocks because not everybody has ever seen Python. But we just want you to be aware of that. Now, I said that if you change computers, something like that, you'll lose access to the work you've done in the past. So what I want to show you is how to save. So down here at the bottom, there are a few different buttons. The first one is the name, so you can change the name of your program. And then the second box is save. So if I hit save, it's going to ask me, well, where do I want to save this? So, for example, I might save it to my computer science project, and it says hex file. A hex file is just a microbit file. It'll only open in microbit. So it saves it. There it goes. It's all done. Okay. This one, GitHub repository, you don't have to mess with that. We're not going to touch it. That is for people who want to share out a lot of things. Speaking of sharing, there are a few things that we can do. Oops, wrong button. This is another download option. Move my video out. So up here in the settings, you'll notice it's got a bunch of different things. It's got a print, so you can print out your project, text-based, things like that. Okay. You can also reset, and that'll clear every project. You don't want to do that. Okay. That's going to clear your entire history as you move along. Okay. So make sure you're not doing that. The other button that you're really going to want to use is this share button. So what the share button does, when you click it, it brings up share project, and you have to give it a name, and then you hit publish. And what it's doing is it's publishing this to a private server that Makecode runs that makes it available through the internet. So this link, oops, this link, I can either highlight it or I can just hit copy. If I go to a new tab and paste that in, it's going to take me to a public version of my code. Now, this is really important because you're going to share a lot of your codes with me by sharing these links to me. So these allow you, excuse me, these allow you to publish your code so I can see it without you having to send files back and forth. And what's really nice is that you can share with your partners as you're working, or with somebody who's virtual can share with other virtuals to get help as needed. And you can always hit simulator. It's going to show you what's going on. Go to blocks. And if you hit edit, it's going to take you back into the environment where you can modify it yourself. Now, the important thing to notice is that when you modify it, it's not modifying the original code. It's creating a new copy. So you'll have to share a second version and get a slightly different link. Okay? So those are the basics of the Microbit page that we're going to be using. Something to be aware of down here, tutorials. So as we move through, there's lots of things you can do with this program and this software. There are a bunch of tutorials here. There are some games you can make and play. So there's a lot of stuff we can do that we'll sort of explore as the year goes on. But I just wanted to give you a basic overview of how the Microbit site works so that you can kind of explore it and see what you can do with the actual codec.